Hi, I wanted to share a case that I had with a student just a short while ago at one of the Hillels that I worked for this year as an intern. A few weeks back, a student had come in and I asked him how he was doing, and he said fine, and I somewhat jokingly responded, "Oh, well, you seem kind of angry about it." And he was really taken aback and said, "Oh, I hope you're joking because that's something I'm working on." And I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, I really feel like people sometimes perceive me as being angry, and I don't like to look angry, so I'm working on that." So that was kind of a funny comment, and I said, "Well, it's okay if you are angry sometimes." And he said, "No, I really try to not be angry." So I noted that, and that was just a passing comment, and we parted ways. But the next week I asked the student, I said, "Would you be interested in learning on the topic of anger?" I did it in a somewhat jokey way. I know you're worried of not dealing with, you don't want to deal with anger, you just want to suppress it, but I thought maybe we could talk about it a little bit. And he said, "Okay, maybe next week." So I found a Hasidic text from the Ishbitzer Rebbe, the Mashigach, which talks about the story of Noach and how when he sends out the raven from the ark, that's really a metaphor for anger, the raven. And according to the Ishbitzer, Noach sends out the raven because he says, "I don't want anger. I don't want any anger in my life." And God makes the raven go around and around the ark. And according to the Ishbitzer, the lesson of this is that we can't really send away anger. We can't let it go completely. God is sending Noach the message that we need to keep anger around, and that there is a useful aspect to anger. And so I brought this text for the student. The next week we sat down. We had a one-on-one chavruta. This student was coming from a religious background, and he knew text very well. He had never seen this text before. And we learned it, and in the process of learning it, he commented like, "Wow, this is exactly the text that I'm looking for. How'd you find this?" Which felt really nice. And we used that text as a springboard to talk about the role that anger should play in one's life, and the role that anger played in his life. And he opened up and talked about how he really does think that anger is not good and not a good thing, and just try to work it out and walk it off, and then there's just no role for anger. And I said, well, I think what this text is showing us is that there actually can be a role for anger in your life as a religious person. And he said, "Well, can you give me an example?" And I said, "Well, how about you tell me the last time you got angry?" And he talked about how his mother was very tidy, and his sister had thrown something on the ground, and his mother said, "Clean it up," and his sister said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And so this student was angry at his sister for kind of disrespecting his mother that way. And so I took that example and I said, "Okay, but let's think about what you were really angry about there. Were you angry about the fact that your sister isn't clean?" And so the student said no, and he said that really maybe what was going on was that his sister was defying his mother, and that he was maybe angry that he wasn't able to respond to his mother in the same way, to stand up for himself that way. And so then that started to get into a deeper conversation about the role that he has in his family, and the relationship that he has with his mother. He shared that his mother actually talks about who this person can date and who this person can't date. And so we used that example that this student had shared with me to show how the anger, the response that the student felt was actually an indication of something going on in his life. And through that example, we kind of were able to uncover a deeper truth about his life, which is that he's feeling some tension right now, living at home, being with his mother, who is not necessarily allowing him to be his full self. And we talked about the importance of the balance between respecting one's parents and also feeling the need to be one's own individual. and I found it to be a really productive conversation and opened up a lot. And the reason I think this is an important story is because this all happened through a text, through a Jewish text. This was a religious student who would not necessarily have had this conversation just based on a psychology article, but this religious text carried extra significance and weight. And through that text, we were able to open up all kinds of deep conversations and get the student thinking about these issues in new ways and hopefully in helpful ways. And so I really believe that the role of the rabbi is that through text and through these very personal one-on-one studies, one can really uncover a lot of psychological depth and really help a student grow. Thanks.